Yeah,
I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing tonight, but
I gotta get hold of a guy who might meet him out there.
I got a guy I might meet there later today. Hopefully 4:30, fine.
No, I just made a commercial liability.
All right.
It's supposed to rain tonight, so you can be
Yeah,
out
tomorrow, yeah, I can stay out late tonight.
Sleep.
Yeah, it's about 4 years.
Just let me know when you're ready, Stacy.
Shake up.
One more and then we can get
But I
started.
think there's a hearing today that who knows what's gonna happen.
Like there's a lot of unknowns right now.
Looks like everything's up and running.
Do you think we're ready?
Yes.
All
I
right.
know the one's recording already.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna call this November 10th, 2020 Madison County Planning Commission to order. If we're gonna start out, Corey's gonna say a prayer for us, please.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this day and thank you for the opportunity for us to gather. Please give us the wisdom and help guide us to do your will. Please be with all of our military and our police and all those who are sick or struggling. We thank you for the bountiful harvest that we had this year in this month of Thanksgiving, and just ask that you watch over us and guide us. Amen.
Thank you, Corey. Okay, if everybody stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Can we have a roll call attendance, please?
Yes. Excuse me for just 1 second. Hey, Jeff, do I do Kim or do I do Beth?
We might want to switch the roll call to indicate our new member if she wants to be.
Do you want to do that first?
That's all right with you?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Please stand and raise your right hand.
Yes, sir.
I, Kimberly Hyatt,
I, Kimberly Hyatt,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
as well as the ordinances of Madison County,
as well as the ordinances of Madison County,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and diligently discharge
and diligently discharge
the duties of the office of Plan Commissioner
the duties of Office of Planning Commissioner
of Madison County,
of Madison County,
according to law and to the best of my ability.
according to law and best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Kim. Welcome aboard.
All right, we ready now?
Let's do a roll call.
All right. Kimberly Hyatt.
Here.
Corey Bolander,
Here.
Lisa Hobbs, Tom Shepard,
Here.
Kelly Gaskell, John Zimmerman, Mark Geary,
Here.
David Kane,
Here.
and Wes Lakin.
Here.
Thank you.
Well, now we get to 4. Our new member would like to welcome Kim.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, on to number 5, the September 8th minutes. Are there any addition or correction to those minutes?
Motion to approve?
We have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a second.
And that's for the September 8th.
September 8th.
Yes.
Is that right? Hang on that. Yeah, because we didn't have an October meeting.
Right.
Right. Okay, now I'm back. Okay, yep, September. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion passes. Okay, Brad, get some old business.
The old business that we have before us is with regard to extending the large-scale farm moratorium. Just for the record, I have received 5 emails from different landowners requesting that we extend the moratorium. The reason we're here to discuss this is We have the moratorium will end on January 7th, 2021. I have not been able to complete the ordinance as of yet. I do intend on having a draft copy, hopefully by January 1st. And at that time, I would like for the Plan Commission to review it, as well as some citizens review it before we actually hold a public hearing on it. So we're hopeful that February or March we'll be able to hold a public hearing with regard to a new ordinance. So the request would be to extend the moratorium for 6 months for now, and then we should be able to pull back once we can get the ordinance in place.
Brad, you want it 6 months from now or 6 months?
6 months from January 7th. And we should be able to have the ordinance in place well before then.
What's the status of the draft now, Brad?
It's probably about 20%. It's really just started the draft for the most part. I've been researching a lot of information, and I was presented with a lot more information yesterday. And so I'll be meeting with a couple landowners with regard to that, and should be able to get that draft completed again by the 1st. Finally, things are slowing down in the office. We haven't had the number of petitions coming through, haven't had to write the number of reports, and we're slowing down on building permits as well. So with things slowing down, I should have plenty of time to work on this now.
Reading these emails, Brad, do these people that sent you the emails know that this has already went through, that this solar park?
Oh, I believe I don't know if they understand that or not, but yes, it was approved, and the lawsuit that had been taking place, the judge ended up siding with the county with regard to that, siding with the BZA. So as of right now, Lone Oak Solar is approved. I don't know if there's going to be an appeal with regard to the decision of the lawsuit, so it could certainly be extended. But this solar moratorium really has nothing to do with Lone Oak Solar. This is strictly it's in place strictly to get a new ordinance in place.
Well, I was just reading these emails, and it sounds like they think this moratorium stopping all this.
Yeah, the moratorium does not stop.
I just want to make sure that they know all this.
Yep.
Okay.
The moratorium is in place strictly to draft a new ordinance and adopt a new ordinance, and so that any new solar farms that come into place large scale, they would have to abide by a new ordinance as opposed to the ordinance that was approved back in January 2017.
Well, I know Anderson's put in 4 solar parks, and one's right at 50 acres.
Yep.
But it's in the city, so there's nothing we can do about that.
Correct.
Out by the horse track.
I think we talked about this. Any other discussion on this up here? Would anybody out there like to speak on this?
We appealed it.
Uh-huh.
That's just so you know, we did appeal.
Okay.
Yeah, if anybody wants to speak, you're gonna come up and just state your name, address.
Moratorium.
Yeah, just for the moratorium.
Thank you. My name's Denise Spooner, 139 West Oak Street, Alexandria. I called Brad yesterday to kind of understand the procedures of how this is working, and we spoke for about 30 minutes. I didn't even scratch the surface of the data and the information that I have that is very important to the developing of the new ordinance. I'm definitely in favor of this moratorium, and I hope that 6 months is enough time, but I could literally sit here and do a slideshow presentation and a seminar workshop for everybody in this county. And if I talk super fast, I might get through it in 2 hours. That's how much data that I have since September of the last BZA meeting when this project was passed. I cannot even tell you how much has developed. in regards to property values. There's 5 topics to this, okay? Property values, agricultural land, what it does to the land, can the land be restored, and all different aspects of Indiana ag. The 3rd is decommissioning. The 4th is overall financial impacts, because this county never did do a study on what does it happen if you take 1,890 acres out of production over 35 years. We have Invenergy saying they're going to give us $24 million in tax revenue, but what's the other flip side to that? So we have financial impacts, and then the last category is health and safety. Those 5 topics, my binder has grown from 3 inches to 5. And last night I spoke with an MAI designated appraiser from Kentucky who has written other reports in regards to the Cone-Resnick study, the Kirkland studies, and Mr. Maru, who did the study here for the Lone Oak market analysis. And what I'm coming up with so much more information is that even that Rhode Island University has a new study, definitely impacts to property values. That study covers Rhode Island and Massachusetts. What I want to say is so hard for me because this county has been lied to numerous times. And I'm uncovering it, and I have the proof, and I have the facts. And I need to sit down with Brad. He asked me to come over and take a whole day and go through all this research so that you guys can develop a better ordinance. And this is huge. And this involves North Carolina State University. And the university themselves has been deceived by North Carolina Clean Tech and the NCSEA. They are lobbying companies. And the data that they gave to you guys, stamped with North Carolina State University, there's not one single professor from that college, from that university that is endorsing this. There's not one agronomist, not one soil scientist bagging behind any of the agricultural studies that they've given the landowners here. Not one. Mike Carroll from the North Carolina Cooperative Extension has collaborated with me on him. I have his emails, have his phone numbers. You guys can talk to him. They did not publish the white paper documents that was submitted to this county and told by the Invenergy's expert, Mr. Tommy Cleveland, that they were flat out lie. I follow Mr. Maru around to counties, and I go behind him explaining the truth about the North Star Solar Farm. I have that whole entire solar farm now evaluated by a licensed MAI appraiser, completely contradicting everything. It is misleading, and it is downright fraud. Fraud. And you guys need to know this stuff. I will sit down with any landowner here, and anybody that wants to talk to me, please call me. I want you to know that I care about this county, and I believe that we all do too. We're not enemies here. But we have to get to the truth. We have to. And if you aren't aware too, there is a global, worldwide organization, Business and Human Rights Resource Center. They have a benchmark set for human rights, property rights, and they have done a benchmark of what these companies with renewable energy should be doing globally. And if you look at their chart, every United States company, and they have on here NextEra, BlackRock, the Southern Company, Invenergy's name should be on here. But they rate the lowest in regards to responsible development and human rights. And it is a big deal. You can spend hours on this website and look at all the allegations and the claims. We need to think about this. And when I was before the BZA in September and was asked, what's my biggest concern at the time, I was talking about Gen X and chemicals. That's no longer my biggest concern anymore. By the way, Stockholm University just put out a new study on Gen X, and they've said it's worse than the PFAS, PFOS chemicals. And there is a Purdue agronomist, I'm going to be talking with them as well, that is studying how those chemicals get into our ground. We proved that they're there. We have an EPA scientist. We know it's there. But, and there are utility judges right now, Massachusetts. The state utility judge decided on their favor that saying no Gen X on any of these solar panels. Judges are ruling right now to not have these chemicals on there. Find a solar panel that doesn't have that production in it. But what I'm trying to explain to you is that this is a huge, big, billion-dollar industry that needs to come in and do these things. And if we don't have the other side of this data, when you sit on a board, you need to understand that, hey, this is a great idea. Now someone please play devil's advocate with me. What could go wrong? And I have given up a year of my life to study this. I can't get away from it. I have people calling me all over, and I've been to so many different counties understanding what's happening. But I want you to understand the human rights to this, and there's a big thing with it, and we need to look at the credentials, the resources, and all of the stated information from these developers. And I said last time at the BZA member, anytime that we have anything like this, it's a huge big deal with our county that these experts are coming in here. They need to sign in and waive their rights with penalty of perjury and promise to tell the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Because I have a lot of truth to explain to Brad, and he agreed he'd sit down with me for a whole day. And what I want to propose to the Planning Commission is this is overwhelming. There's tons of data. And I would like to know if you would consider, two of you, I don't care who, I don't care, bring a commissioners on, I don't care, landowners for it, against it, just two people from the planning, a couple citizen members, myself and Brad, and form a committee to get through this data and information. I believe the more minds that we have that can discuss the pros and the cons, that we could actually do a better job developing a proper ordinance. It can't just be on Brad's shoulders. And that's what I was trying to understand. I was prepared to come today and present all of you guys binders and a slideshow and try and get through 10, 15 minutes of what I know. Brad said, well, just give it all to me. Let's, diverse into this, and then I'll present it to the planning and we'll go from there. So, if any of you want to just call me personally and want to know what I know, I'd sit down with any of you, but I really believe that it would be a good thing to have more people involved, just a few more from our community, from the planning. Mr. Graham, come talk to me and let's look at what I have and check me out. Call North Carolina State University. There's actually attorneys going to be involved in this right now with what's happening down there with that university. And I'm praying to God that I can get the agronomist from Purdue on board. So that's what I have to say today. I hope 6 months is enough to get through it, but please pass this moratorium. Madison County cannot go through this again. And we need the time. And we need people to step up and care and take the time and listen to this research and do what I'm doing and help me help you go through it. And then let's present the other side. Anybody, those people that sit at these tables that says, hey, I have this opinion, now change my mind. That's what I want. I want to hear the input from those, and I would love to sit down with the landowners. My biggest concern, I'm going to leave you with this, no longer Gen X, is the fact that American Farm Land Trust study says that over 370 million acres will be in transition in the next 15 years. That's over 40% of American farmland. Who's going to own it? And if we don't have a proper decommissioning bond, and in the end of 35 years that these landowners can truthfully say, yes, we can go back to ag if we want to. If that's not there to transport this land back into ag, then we've lost the bargaining power to be able to do so. In the end of 35 years, the panels are worn out. There's no more value. They're on the land. This landowner has let this tenant in and converted the land use. The ball is in their court. They don't have to take this back to ag. And if we can't afford to return it to ag, then they can say to these landowners, okay, let's just buy the land. And now the land's not worth much. So what they think they're going to get is not much. It could never revert back. And just so you know, Pennsylvania Cooperative Extension's experts have participated in a webinar. They don't want any of this to go back to ag. They said the best use is to stay in renewable energy. So even in the decommissioning that we got, I have a different study that proposes a higher amount. We should got around 11 million to decommission this, and that's in this time period, not in 35 years with inflation. But I'm very concerned about who's going to end up owning this land in the very end, and if it ever will go back to agricultural. The BZA should have placed some more restriction conditions to get into the middle of that. And Michigan State University has put out another document regarding leases, cautioning landowners on a lot of things. The leases that are being signed here, I don't know if they contain first rights of refusals or options, but they're putting that in the leases so they have the first rights and dibs to buy that land. Everybody ought to start Googling how much land in America is now going to be foreign owned. And that's a big concern of mine. Thank you for your time, and please reach out and let's talk. And let's get a proper ordinance done for this county. And I will push for the commissioners to sign this. We don't need any more political games on this. I want the commissioners to be on board. They need to support this. And I really want that to be done so that we have the proper time in this community to develop a better ordinance to protect residents of Madison County and this prime farmland. And one last thing, the comprehensive plan, I'm sorry. I know you guys passed the comprehensive plan, but Brad, please review your American Planning Society document. They talk about the comprehensive plan there, and I tried to show up at the commissioners, I did show up at the commissioners meeting. I wasn't able to speak on that. The comprehensive plan should definitely state what we want in this county for the solar. So whatever the ordinance comes up with, that comprehensive plan needs to reflect that. I'm asking the commissioners, if I know they're not here, but if they listen to this, if someone could pass it on, please, to them. I don't pass that plan until you review what Brad is wanting to do with the ordinance, because here we go back again into another lawsuits. You know, Invenergy decided how it could meet the comprehensive plan. The opposition said no, it does not. It needs to be black and white. We don't need to have to guess, to have legal battle over what the comprehensive plan should state. And looking at the prior plan to this plan, it's even more vague. The prior plan, I think, spelled out a little bit better on the agricultural integrity, the character of the rural zoning. And the old plan seemed to be better worded than this new one that's being proposed. So I have some issues with that. So please look into that too. I don't know when the planning passed that, but please talk about that and review what the American Planning Society has advised, because that's the main source of our, that we should go by, according to what Brad's telling me and what I've reviewed from American. That's the Society of Societies that guides planning commissions all across the United States. Please read that document on comprehensive plans, and let's not argue about this anymore. Thank you very much for your time and listening to me.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Anybody else?
You know, Brad, we went through this how many times now? 4?
The moratorium, this is, I think, the 4th time.
This is the 4th time, isn't it?
Okay.
Are we ever going to get anything done on this? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, it's 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. All of a sudden, it's been 2 years.
Well, we tried to do it for a year.
Pardon me?
We did try for a year,
Oh, I know.
and that didn't work.
I know.
So,
The
the problem is, I think we went through, building permit, we just had a lot going on for a while, but we need to get through this, yes.
Yeah, I apologize it's taken so long, but this has been the busiest year that I've had since I've been here.
No, I mean, it's critical to this county, and I like what the young lady said, that, and I just love educated people that has the facts in front of them. They're especially worried about Madison County. I'm worried about Madison County myself. It doesn't seem like the commissioners, a couple of them, want to get this comprehensive plan or this moratorium taken care of. And I'm not blaming you, Brad. This is a hell of a deal to go through. I couldn't put all them papers together. I know that. And I think all of us have faith in you to get it done. This 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, I don't think's cutting it with me. I'm sorry, but I don't know what you guys think. Or Jeff, sorry.
I'd love to bring all the documentation that I have on it, but I can't carry it all.
I understand.
That's how many binders of it. And with the paperwork that she's going to be adding, it's going to be even more. I have so much to go through in order to get this, and I'm doing my best not to miss anything.
Yeah, I know.
And that's it takes time to cipher through all of that, but I'm working on it. And unfortunately, that's not the only thing that I do, as you know, and I have so many other aspects of the job that I have to take care of, and just have not had the time this year to really put into it. But things have slowed down, and I really believe the next couple months.
We got the comprehensive plan going too right now. That it don't seem like they're getting through that.
That hasn't been approved by the commissioners.
See, it seems like this county just drags its feet continuously, and all the other counties around us just swarm all over us. Sorry, I just hate, I'm just speaking, but, I think, young lady, I think this planning commission up here is all for the moratorium. I think we all want the moratorium. I'm not denying that. I just think that we can't go back to the, what's already happened with the BZA.
I know that the moratorium does not stop in Lone Oak, but it does stop any other further development
Absolutely.
coming into this county.
Sure.
Until we get a plan.
I understand that.
Yep.
And
Sure.
again, consider please a committee, talk about a couple people that help Brad and I. You guys need to understand this too. It's not all on Brad. it shouldn't be all on his shoulders, to be honest with you. This is an overwhelming amount of data, and I'm getting ready to dump another 3-inch binder on him. I'm not joking. So,
Well, you know, I'm willing to help you guys. My office is right next to Brad's. Matter of fact, he comes over all the time, bothers me.
Interrupt you.
But no, I'm willing to help, and I'm concerned about Madison County myself. I love Madison County. I've lived here all my life. And yes, things need to be done, and we need to make this county that people want to come here.
yeah, I agree. And on that comprehensive plan, I'm okay with the commissioners didn't push that through because, like I said, I just realized the document that Brad sent me also contains some really good information on the comprehensive plan regarding solar. And so you need to back up a step and.
Can we change that, though?
Say again?
I agree with what she's saying, but like we pass the plan, since we have a moratorium, we're gonna change all that anyhow, correct?
Well, the moratorium, the comprehensive.
But once
plan,
we get-
You've recommended already to the commissioners.
Right.
So you.
But
you're
what's on there
correct.
about, what's on there about solar is gonna be changed once we get through all this, would that be correct?
That won't change
That-
the comprehensive.
not
The
the plan.
comprehensive plan is the general, and the.
I see what
Then
you
on
mean.
solar is the specific. So to edit this, you'll have to go back and have a hearing on, edit to the comprehensive plan.
Which we can certainly do that. Since it hasn't been approved by the commissioners, we can certainly take a look at that comprehensive plan and add additional language. But we would need to bring it back in front of you. So,
Thank you, Wesley, for bringing that up. It needs to be reviewed again. I know you passed it, but it was probably COVID, I don't know. I didn't have the document at the time to make you aware of it. But if Jeff, if the commissioners deny it, can they send it back to the planning commission to review and then do it that way? Okay, well, I would suggest that then if you would, help the commissioners realize that it needs to have that reviewed with the new ordinance, what Brad's saying regarding solar.
hey Jeff, it's quite possible that it may already have to come back because I think there is a review time period and since that has not taken place, then technically it's not approved, so it is back in the planning commission's court.
Thank
Yep.
you.
All right.
Take a look at that for you guys and update you before your December meeting.
Did you wanna speak?
No, you covered
Sorry.
Brad, do you think that do we possess collectively the expertise to analyze the very technical nature of what Denise highlights in these reports, and does there need to be a counterpoint to the data that's being submitted in order for us to make a judgment?
In some of the data, yes, but when you get into the chemicals and possible chemical runoff and ground infiltration and things such as that, as well as having the expertise with regard to reverting the land back to agricultural, I do not have that expertise, and I would certainly be asking an agronomist on some of these questions as well as a chemical engineer on some of these questions. I certainly wouldn't be able to answer.
Do we know if any other counties who have faced this question have gone to that level, either using their, maybe their local university talent, or even hiring contractors to analyze this total picture to come up with a recommendation for boards or commissions such as this on steps forward?
Unfortunately, I do not. I can tell you that a couple counties have completely eradicated the ability for large-scale solar farms to be placed in prime farmland. Other counties have and communities have placed stipulations with regard of getting approval from the USDA before any large-scale solar farms can be placed in prime farmland. But as far as looking at the chemicals and how they could infiltrate groundwater and drinking wells, I don't know of any county that has gone to that extent, and I don't know that we're going to go to that extent. I have papers with regard to that, and I can certainly comprehend the analysis and the final statement with regard to the paper of what it means, but when you get into the technical details of it, no, it's over my head.
But yet that's at least one side of the argument about either a complete or a limited moratorium on large-scale solar.
Well, what I want to make sure we do is we find peer-reviewed data that supports a position. And I have many papers with regard to that of course I'm still reviewing. As far as getting down to the nitty-gritty of it and the technicalities of it, that's, like, as I said, it's over my head. I have to go to the synopsis.
Okay.
But with regard to how it affects the value of land, I think certainly we can comprehend that information. And there has been different communities that have taken a hard look at that and placed specific guidelines within their ordinance with regard to that.
Well, and I tell you, to that point, I would invite you and any others that have interest to, the next time you're driving down 65 South by Greenwood, on the east side of the road there, just south of the I think south of the Greenwood exit, there is a large-scale industrial, it's not industrial, it's commercial shipping complex. I don't remember which company it is, but anyway, my point with that is the way they have bermed that up. I don't know what they hide behind that berm, but the berm is visually appealing, and whatever they're trying to hide, they've done it effectively. So just for your awareness.
That's also another aspect that we're certainly taking a hard look at. We want to make sure that if anything like this is going to be approved or permitted, regardless of the location, that we make sure that it's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're just wanting us to vote on a 6-month moratorium extension?
An extension from January 7th to June 7th.
It's a recommendation.
Yeah.
I move to extend that moratorium for 6 months.
We have a motion.
Just one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
June 7th or July 7th?
It'd
6
be
months is July.
It'd be July 7th. Thank you for correcting that.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Kimberly Hyatt.
Agreed.
Corey Belander.
Yes.
Tom Shepherd.
Yes.
Mark Gary.
Yes.
David Kane.
Yes.
Wes Likens.
Yes, motion passes. All right, Brad.
The next item on the agenda is with regard to a database. As some of you may remember, our database went out back in 2015. We had tried a solution with regard to that utilizing Laserfish. We had funding to start that, but we were unable to get the approval for funding to finish it. So we have continued without, and that took place in 17 and 18. I've since tried to establish an access database and a couple other aspects of being able to maintain that information, and have since just been utilizing an Excel spreadsheet for the last couple of years. Council of Governments, I met with them about 3 months ago, and they stated that they could establish a permits and petition database for $10,000, which is a very good number, since most databases are in the number for these type of things are in excess of 100,000. They have already established this database in LaPel and in the town of Ingalls, and for the most part they've already completed it for us. We are just asking for a preliminary or an approval contingency on attorney review of the contract, for them to be able to be paid for this database. I'll be taking that in front of the county council probably in January.
Does the contract include support?
Yes.
How long?
Well, Council of Governments is actually contracted with all municipalities in Madison County, including Madison County. So they've been offering support as long as they've been in existence. so that it would continue with this as long as they remain in existence.
At additional cost?
No.
We don't go along with.
It's actually a web-based program, so it's it'll the updates that take place should be fairly minimal, and it's across the board. But again, they get paid a fee from Madison County. It is a minimal fee, but that fee is to serve all offices, and they assist with pretty much everyone. And they realize that our office does not have a large amount of money in our budget, so they were certainly willing to work with all of that. But Jeff has not had the opportunity to review the contract in detail, so the request is that if we're going to approve this, that it's contingent on attorney review. And $10,000 it really is an unreal cost for this. So we've been testing it for the last several weeks, and we've worked out several kinks, and it's just about ready to go up and running.
So it's like friendly?
Very friendly.
What exactly does the database do for you?
Well, it allows us to maintain all of the information with regard to the building permits, so and also petitions. But the building permits on that side of it, we have to keep track of a lot of information per state statute, such as the type of permit that it is, the type of construction that's taking place, number of garage doors, number of bathrooms, number of bedrooms, and just a whole slew of things that we have to keep track for every single permit that comes through that in which the information is pertinent. That information, once that's maintained, it's much easier for us to go back and find those permits and to give them the information that they need. Whenever we have individuals asking about inspections, all of that information is also maintained in the database, so we can determine when an inspection took place, whether it was approved, if it was not approved, why it was not approved, and so forth. There's reports that we have to give out every month to the building officials to let them know how many new homes are constructed. This database, of course, allows us to much better control that information and maintain it more efficiently. In an Excel spreadsheet, you can still do that, but creating those reports takes a little bit more time. This database will do it automatic. It's just a matter of pushing a button. In addition to that, when we're issuing a new building permit, we have to open up multiple sites, multiple documents, and the GIS, aerial photographs, and so forth. So we end up with several things open at the same time as we prepare that information. Within the database itself, you'll be able to see the location, the GIS aerial location of the parcel that you're dealing with. And it'll make it much more efficient for us to be able to not have so many windows open. And in addition to that, this is going to maintain a geographic location for every single permit that takes place. So we will have a map that we can pull up, and when we click on a parcel, it will tell us if there's been a permit that's been issued, if there's been a petition that has been applied for, whether it's been approved, and so forth. There's just going to be so much data and information that's going to be in one place that right now we have to do several searches to find. So it's certainly going to not be the best for us initially, but as more and more information gets added to it, 5 years from now, it's going to make things so efficient in the office because there's going to be 5 years of data in it. And again, outside of the permits, you get into the petitions. We're going to be able to see which properties have acquired variances, waivers, rezones, whether there's been an administrative plat done on that property, and so forth, and it'll all be again in one location. So it's pretty robust.
For $10,000.
Did you get all that? That's a
Don't ask
lot.
me to repeat it.
Yep. You'd like for us to do something on that today?
Yes, if you would, I'd love for you to approve that contingent on attorney review. If you'd be willing to.
Yeah, I would make a motion that, consistent with Brad's presentation, that we approve a motion that the product upon review of legal counsel be approved for adoption, dependent upon funding.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Do we need a roll call for this?
No.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion passes. Thanks, Dave. Mark?
The last thing we have on the agenda is the approval of the 2021 Planning Commission calendar.
Did somebody check to make sure they're on Tuesday?
I have not had a chance to check through it.
They are.
I had Liz go over it with me this time. And I've had this done for quite a while, so that doesn't mean that we both weren't.
I mean, and the second Tuesday of every month is pretty,
Right.
if one of them's off, we need to move it to the second Tuesday.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2021 calendar of Madison County Planning Commission as presented.
We have a motion?
May I make a statement?
Yes.
Just a real quick question. Do we run any risk if the published date is January 1st and a media outlet doesn't publish on that date? Do we run a risk on that? Okay.
If it is not published on that date, we cannot hear it. If there is a petition that's before us and they do not publish by that date, then legally we cannot hear that petition. Is that what you're asking?
Well, I'm not, maybe the word publish, I'm not misunderstanding the word publish. Because what I'm thinking, for example, the small newspapers, they don't publish on holidays. So if that sets a particular window and it doesn't get published on that date, do we run the risk of a technicality of something being
No.
challenged?
The state law requires us to publish between 10 and 20 days before the hearing. Cannot be more than 20 days, cannot be less than 10 days. So this is just the final day, so we make sure we get it to individuals in time to ensure that they can meet that published date. This just happens to be that it has to be done by that date. And if there's a holiday, we make sure we let them know that it has to be in before that.
Okay. So published doesn't mean in a newspaper or in a publication.
It does. It has to be in a newspaper, plus notices have to go out. This is the date that notices have to be postmarked by and the date that it has to be in the newspaper by.
So they could do them before Christmas and still be good.
As long as they meet that 10 to 20 day window, yes.
All right.
Okay.
So we got a motion.
Second.
We got a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion passes. Any other business, Brad?
One thing I'd just like to bring up, because we've discussed it several times, has to do with attorney fees. Just want to let you know that we currently owe $23,137 in attorney fees. We do have enough in our account. We have $25,578 in our account to pay for that. We had submitted claims for $20,425. That was denied by the commissioners. So it appears as though we're going to have to encumber the amount in our account to pay for all the attorney fees for this year. So just wanted to get you that information so you're aware where we're at.
Can we do it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to encumber it and they'll be paid. It's just unfortunately, it'll be January more than likely before that takes place, so.
All right.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Any other business? Anybody else? Amy? Kimberly, yeah. Anything else?
I move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Isn't there a rule that if you miss 3 meetings in a row, you get
I think
terminated from the commission?
Is that a rule?
When I get back,
Are you turning in your
What is
I
the
am.
BZA? I don't know if it's- My point is,
I'll look at it for 4 hours.
I don't think we've seen Kelly Gaskell here once this year. So is that still a sitting commissioner?
See you, Tom.